Welcome to Brilliant Minds Unlocked. We'd like to thank our followers for all the support we're receiving. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the career of
Oh, cool.
Sasha Banks,
Okay.
a wrestler who has,
Yeah.
captivated audiences worldwide.
She's great.
Yeah.
It's interesting you chose her, for this deep dive. Her story is one that truly embodies the evolution of women's wrestling over the past decade. We're going to look at a blend of articles and interviews and social media posts that chronicle her journey from her childhood as Mercedes Justine Keisner-Varnado to her transformation into the iconic The Boss, Sasha Banks, and now her latest persona, Mercedes Moné.
That's exactly why I picked her.
Yeah.
This is more than just wins and losses, right?
Right.
From what I've read, it's about
Uh,
ambition, resilience, and ultimately
Yeah.
reinvention.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much to unpack.
There is.
Where do we even begin?
Well, a good place to start is with her early life.
Okay. She wasn't just a casual fan. Wrestling was in her blood from a young age. She was actively seeking out training and matches as a teenager, eventually signing with WWE's developmental brand NXT in 2012.
Oh, wow.
And that's where the Sasha Banks persona started to take shape.
Okay, so she paid her dues down in NXT.
Yeah.
But what were those early years really like for her? Was it smooth sailing to the top?
Not at all.
Really?
The sources actually paint a picture of a very challenging period for her. She faced stiff competition and had to fight for every opportunity. There were even times when she considered giving up wrestling altogether.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that tough. So what was the turning point for her in NXT? Was it a specific match or rivalry?
Her NXT Women's Championship win in 2015 was definitely a defining moment.
Okay.
Not just for her career, but for women's wrestling as a whole.
Interesting.
It was during a period when women were starting to be featured more prominently, and this victory really cemented her status as a leading figure in that movement. That's so interesting. It wasn't just about winning a title.
No.
It was about being part of a larger shift in the industry.
Exactly. It was around this time that the term Four Horsewomen emerged. Sasha Banks, along with Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Bayley, were all key figures in this new wave of women's wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Pushing boundaries and demanding recognition for their athleticism and storytelling abilities.
And their matches were incredible. It was like a whole new level of athleticism and storytelling had been injected into women's wrestling.
Right. They were instrumental in moving women's wrestling away from being simply a sideshow and into the main event spotlight. But even with this success, Sasha's time on WWE's main roster was marked by both triumphs and frustrations.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading about that.
Yeah.
Multiple Raw Women's Championship reigns, but many of them were cut surprisingly short.
Yeah.
It felt like she was constantly being pushed down, even when she was clearly a fan favorite.
That's a point worth exploring further. The sources I've seen speculate that there were creative differences behind the scenes, perhaps clashes with management about how her character was being portrayed and the direction of her storylines. This is where things get a little murky, though, as we only get glimpses of what truly happened.
It almost feels like that boss persona started blurring the lines between fiction and reality.
That's a great observation, and it leads us into one of the most controversial periods in her career.
Okay.
The 2022 walkout with Naomi.
Right. This was huge EE news at the time. They literally walked out in the middle of a live Raw show. What led to such a dramatic move?
Well, the exact reasons are still debated, but the sources point to a growing dissatisfaction with creative direction and their treatment within the company. It was a bold statement, and it sent shockwaves through the wrestling world.
Absolutely. Divided fans, sparked intense discussion online, and ultimately led to Sasha's departure from WWE.
Yeah, that walkout was a defining moment, wasn't it? Almost like a wrestling storyline come to life. But let's dive deeper into the aftermath and what that decision meant for her.
Okay, so we left off with Sasha exiting WWE. What happened next? Did she just disappear from the wrestling scene entirely?
Not quite. She went silent for a while, which only fueled speculation about her future. Then, in a truly boss move, she reemerged as Mercedes Moné, debuting in New Japan Pro Wrestling in January of 2023.
Wow, that was a power move. It felt like she was reclaiming her identity and her narrative.
Absolutely. That name change was significant. It signaled a separation from the Sasha Banks persona and a step into a new chapter on her own terms.
It's interesting how she chose Japan for her return. Was it a strategic move?
It was a brilliant one for sure. New Japan Pro Wrestling, or NJPW, is a highly respected organization with a rich history. It also allowed her to tap into a new fan base and showcase her skills in a different wrestling style.
So she wasn't just wrestling, she was making a statement. Did she find success in Japan?
Absolutely. She quickly rose to prominence, winning the IWGP Women's Championship, and her matches were, as always, captivating, blending athleticism and storytelling in a way that few wrestlers can.
Okay, so she's killing it in Japan. But WWE is still the biggest wrestling company in the world. Did she ever consider going back?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? There have been persistent rumors about a potential WWE return, especially with Triple H taking over creative control.
Triple H seems to be more open to giving wrestlers creative freedom, which was reportedly a major point of contention for Sasha before.
Right. And the sources mentioned changes in her social media activity, cryptic posts that hint at a possible return.
It's almost like she's playing with the fans, keeping them guessing. It's genius marketing, really.
It is. She's mastered the art of building anticipation and keeping herself relevant even when she's not actively wrestling in a major promotion.
So let's talk about the bigger picture here. What is Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné's legacy at this point? I mean, she's only in her early 30s, but she's already had such a roller coaster career.
Her impact is undeniable. She's been a trailblazer for women's wrestling, a force for change within the industry, and an inspiration to countless fans around the world.
What specifically stands out to you as her most significant contributions? What will she be remembered for?
Well, first and foremost, she elevated women's wrestling to new heights. She was a key figure in breaking down barriers and proving that women could be main eventers, capable of delivering matches that were just as athletic and compelling as their male counterparts.
She and the other horsewomen really changed the game. But it wasn't just about the in-ring action, right? She brought a certain attitude, a swagger that resonated with fans.
Exactly. She embraced the boss persona, and that resonated with a generation of fans, especially young women, who saw her as a symbol of empowerment and self-confidence.
And she wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo, even if it meant walking away from the biggest wrestling company in the world.
That's what makes her story so captivating. It's a story of ambition, resilience, and ultimately self-belief.
But there were controversies along the way, right? That walkout, rumors of backstage conflicts. How do those factor into her legacy?
Those events are part of her story, and they sparked important conversations about the treatment of wrestlers, creative freedom, and the power dynamics within the industry.
I think that's a really important point. Her story isn't just about personal success. It's about the larger issues with her professional wrestling.
Exactly. She used her platform to advocate for change, and her actions have had a ripple effect, prompting discussions and hopefully leading to improvements within the industry.
So where does that leave us? What's next for Mercedes Moné?
That's the big question, isn't it? Will she return to WWE? Will she continue to blaze trails in Japan or explore other opportunities?
The wrestling world is waiting with bated breath.
And whatever she decides, one thing is for sure. Mercedes Moné will continue to captivate audiences and leave her mark on the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah, it sounds like Mercedes Moné is really in the driver's seat now, calling the shots and shaping her own legacy.
Absolutely. And that brings us to an interesting point. Her relationship with the fans. Throughout her career, she's cultivated a connection with them that's unlike any other wrestler.
It's definitely a unique dynamic. Sometimes it feels like a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
They adore her talent and her boldness, but also aren't afraid to question her decisions.
That's what makes her so captivating. She embraces the drama, the speculation, the roller coaster of emotions that comes with being a wrestling superstar. She doesn't shy away from controversy. She leans into it.
I've noticed that too. She doesn't just present a polished persona. She shares her struggles, her vulnerabilities, her moments of doubt.
Right. There's an authenticity to her that resonates with people. They see her as a real person, navigating the complexities of fame and the pressures of a demanding industry.
And that authenticity extends to her social media presence.
Yeah.
It's almost like a direct line to her thoughts and aspirations, a way for her to control the narrative surrounding her career.
Exactly. She's mastered the art of using social media to engage with fans, build anticipation, and drop hints about her future plans. Remember those cryptic posts leading up to her New Japan debut? Pure marketing genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So putting all the pieces together, what can we learn from Sasha Banks, or rather, Mercedes Moné's journey? It's been quite a ride, hasn't it?
It really has. I think her story highlights the evolving landscape of professional wrestling. It's not just about the in-ring action anymore. It's about personal branding, self-promotion, and connecting with fans on a deeper level.
And she's shown that wrestlers have more power than ever before to shape their own destinies, negotiate for creative control, and explore opportunities beyond the traditional structures.
Precisely. She's a trailblazer, a game changer, and an inspiration to a generation of wrestlers and fans alike.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, from those early days in NXT to her global stardom as Mercedes Moné. It's been a fascinating exploration of a career that continues to evolve before our very eyes.
I agree. And the best part is we have no idea what the future holds for her. Will she return to WWE? Will she conquer new territories? Will she venture into other creative realms? Only time will tell.
And that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
The story isn't over. Mercedes Moné is still writing her legacy.
Yeah.
And we're all eager to see what she does next.
Absolutely. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Go.
But the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage all of you to continue exploring, keep questioning, and share your thoughts on Sasha Banks, a.k.a. Mercedes Moné, and her impact on the world of professional wrestling.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the career of Sasha Banks. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button if you enjoyed this episode. Until next time, keep those brilliant minds unlocked.